And in our organization, in New Orleans Secular Humanist Association, we don't have a requirement that you have to, pledge that you are one thing or another. I have no problem personally with saying that I'm an atheist, although that word still is frightening to a lot of people.
That's why we kept it out of our name.
And it means the same thing.
Right.
If you're a non-religious, you're an atheist.
Correct.
But in my position, and I express it whenever I can, is that we need to desensitize the word atheism.
Yes.
Just like the homosexuals desensitized their topic, whether you call it gay or homosexual or lesbian.
Right.
The public now, they're just words. People don't their hair doesn't stand up if they hear someone is gay. We still have to do that to atheism.
Yeah.
Now, and so, some people would rather be called agnostic, but I think the agnostics are unadmitted atheists.
Yeah.
And they're, naturalists and whatever, non-theists.
Pantheists.
All it really means is that we have not accepted the concept of the great mind or being who created everything and looks down upon us and watches everything we do and say. So that's who we are. Now, do the people who have identified with your group, do they feel any sort of any animosity or any with the other college students?
I wouldn't say there's too much animosity amongst us, and if there's, I don't even know, maybe 20 Christian organizations, and.
Yes.
For a little while, we thought maybe we were getting infiltrated, having spies sent in. I don't think that's really what the case was. But we would have a member show up once and never come back. So, but other than that element, I don't think we haven't gotten much controversy.
Well, that's good. But you have that many religious organizations on campus, all of them officially approved by campus, which I presume have large followings.
Some yes, some no.
I've never been to any meetings, to tell you the truth. I don't know.
I know some are bigger than others. I know Campus Crusade for Christ is bigger than, say, another one.
Yes. All right. Now, you mentioned that you, in November, had a forum or dialogue. Tell us about that.
Well, it started with just the general idea we want to do a dialogue, and we got in contact with Doug Stewart, who's on the board of NOSHA, who helped us tremendously get it all together. And we picked the topic, is science compatible religion? Because we didn't want to do anything too controversial just because of where we're located. There are a lot of Christians who, we don't want to. We didn't want to,
Well, we are in Louisiana, so
right.
We got some crazies.
So we got Doug Stewart on the panel. We had Dr. Rosano, who is a psychology professor
at Southeastern.
Yeah, he actually he's
written a book.
Published many books, but he's got one coming out, I think, this summer called Supernatural Selection: The Evolution of Religion. So right up his alley. So we contacted him. We also contacted Dr. Forrest, who ended up getting sick, but we'll have her hopefully in the future. We also had Dr. Frank Tipler, who is out of Tulane University. I believe he teaches physics. We also had a student member named Christopher Hicks, and we had a Dr. Walter, who is an English professor, who teaches the Bible as literature, which is why we chose him. We figured, that would be right up his alley. Dr. Tipler, unfortunately, we didn't have a chalkboard for him to show us, but he said that he could prove the existence of God through a math equation. But we didn't have a chalkboard to let him show us.
And I saw him on the news, actually, afterwards, on New Orleans News. It was like, they said, and a professor from Tulane will show us how he proves God with this mathematical formula. And I was like, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah. He's a physics professor out of Tulane.
Okay, so you had people, and the specific topic of this dialogue was, say that again.
Is science compatible with religion?
And so you had a couple of people on each side?
Well, instead of doing sides per se, we ended up having it one long panel, so each member could represent themselves.
All right. Well, aside from being sides, you had some people who said, yes, it is compatible.
Correct.
And others who said, no, it's not compatible.
Correct.
All right. And then tell me what about, and this was on campus that you did this?
Yes.
Did you have a good audience turnout?
We actually did. We got about 185 to 200 people.
Oh, that is
incredible.
That is great.
I spoke with someone who works for our newspaper, and she said that the turnout there, because I had never been to our student theater before, and she said she goes to different events all the time, and she's never seen a crowd like that for anything.
We were really impressed.
And then did you have questions and answers with the audience?
What we did was we had a 15-minute internal question and answer where we had the moderator ask each panelist a question, and then we opened up the last 30 minutes for the audience to do. And
what was your impression of the student questions, and were they all leaning in one direction or
they
the
were
other?
Actually very mixed. You could tell it was people from all walks of life, both sides, asking questions. And I mean, we actually had to cut it off because we could have gone on for another hour. I mean, people were just wanting question.
Well, we had the same situation when we had a dialogue in New Orleans, that there wasn't enough time for all the people who wanted to ask questions.
Right.
Well, then when you terminated the meeting, I presume people were still mingling around and talking to your presenters and to each other. And so you have become you're highly visible on campus, right? Well, I think
over the semester
you've made very good progress. I don't know why in the city of New Orleans, where we have many universities, only the University of New Orleans has a student secular group. And we've got Tulane and Dillard and Delgado and Loyola, and I don't know what's holding up the other universities here, but they could take a good example from what you all have done successfully, and I'd love to see someone pick up on that.
Well, I have contacted the president of the LSU group and the UNO groups, and I've been trying to work with them, but it's hard because getting our group off the ground is so time-consuming. But we would like these other groups to know that we're here and we want to work together, we want to collaborate and pull together our resources and work for some kind of change in
power in numbers
in the South here. So, and then if I can meet people at other universities, I will encourage them to start their own groups.
Now, the Secular Students Association, is that what it is? SSA?
Secular Student Alliance.
Okay. Did they send someone down to talk to you, or this was just like email or telephone? Or
Actually, it was at one of your meetings over the summer. I went to a NOSHA meeting at the Audubon Zoo, and I was, talking to some of your members about what I was trying to do, start a group on campus, and I want to say it was Robert who told me about the Secular Student Alliance, and he mentioned them, and I looked them up on the internet, and they have this huge website where they just talk about how to get a group started, and they provide resources, they provide guest speakers. I know they say they fund, but I think with the recession, everybody's kind of tight on money, so they said this year they're not going to be able to do so much as far as helping with grants and stuff. So, but they've been extremely helpful.
Well, that is good, and I'm sure that if some enterprising person in New Orleans wanted to get something going at his school or her school, that would be a good place just to start.
Oh yeah.
Well, all right. We've still got some time to go on our program, and so I would like to give each of you an opportunity to expand on anything we've talked about or bring up some new topics or